So my dad and I started the company. He was at the time a home brewer, so he would spend half of his weekends making craft beer, and I would spend most of my weekends drinking his craft beer. But the building right next door to us is a makerspace. They've got a wood shop, metal shop, ceramics, the whole sort of thing. And I like making things, so I went and checked it out. At the time, there was a brewery in this building, so I would come downtown, I would try to make something out of wood, and when I gave up, I'd come over here and grab a drink, and it was great. And then one of the days I was working on something, I came over here and the doors were closed, the place was locked up. It created an opportunity because now there's a building here that was set up for a brewery, and there was a for rent sign. When we designed the space, we oversized it intentionally. We wanted it to be a space where there's plenty of room. You'll come through the front door, you'll look around and say, hey, this is a nice tap room. I've heard their patio is nice. When we took over, that was a parking lot and a loading dock. There was no seating out there. And now we have, I think, 180 seats on a two-tiered sort of terraced patio surrounded by gardens. So we were trying to build essentially an urban oasis. We're right in the heart of downtown, but sitting on the back patio, you wouldn't know it. Any of the more unique and interesting things that you'll see in this location were custom pieces made by local makers working out of the makerspace right next door to us. Our tap handles are made out of, it's a Buckeye burl wood with poured and dyed acrylic, and I made those in conjunction with the tools and equipment over at the forge. But yeah, all of our beers are made in-house. They're crafted carefully with best ingredients and the best process. Our brewer is, I would say, somewhat of a purist.
So I'm kind of a boring brewer, for lack of a better word. I believe in traditional styles. I believe in traditional methods. And I like to make beer that's approachable. Like, the whole idea is to sell beer. So you want to make a beer that people will drink more than one of.
He will, because we've asked him to, put coconut, marshmallow, whatever in a stout.
And we do one or two of those here and there, but for the most part, we kind of stick to the traditional ways.
With 14 taps on, we don't specialize in any one type. Everybody has different tastes, and we don't want to narrow down our offering. So there's something for everybody. Yeah, we share a wall with the distillery right next door to us. They're great neighbors. They're great to work with.
We make vodka, gin, several different types of whiskey, including North Carolina's first bottled in bond bourbon.
Every year in November, on our anniversary, we release a bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout.
We usually get somewhere between 6 to 8 bourbon barrels from them.
They came up next door and asked us if we could just roll those barrels next door, and they could finish their beer, so it picks off a little bit of that bourbon impact in there as well.
So it's not empty for more than 5 minutes. It's still glistening wet with bourbon, and fills right back up with our beer.
Seeing the evolution of the spirit in our barrel create its own maturity and then be able to turn into something different next door. It is one of our favorite things to be able to pop next door and see how it is.
I like the creative side of it. I mean, at the end of the day, you walk away from it and you have a product that you actually made.
I like crafting things. I like using my hands to make something, and at the end of the day, I've got a thing that I made. It's not always great, but I made it. Similar as the process of craft beer, you could go to the store and you could buy any of the big brand beer, but here it's small batch. We made it ourselves. We designed the recipe. We came up with the name. We tweaked some of the parameters to get exactly what we want. This is something that we crafted ourselves.